This will be a video on how I prepare a purchased file for use in Design Space. This is a small file that I'll use as an example. It was delivered as a zip file containing files for different material thickness and in different formats. There are also assembly instructions. The most common formats are SVG, DXF, CDR, and AI. I'll open the 3mm SVG file. I'm using Adobe Illustrator, but there is other applications with same or similar features. As you can see, the design is made up by lines and forms of different colors. Black representing outer cuts, red, inner cuts, green marking or engraving, and blue lines enclosure and area to be filled. In the list to the right you can see all the elements. The first three being the hat, outer and inner cuts, and an engraved line. Since Design Space doesn't recognize colors, I'll manually sort them into different folders. First thing I'll do now is to fill the blue elements. Then I'll make a quick check of the size of an inner cut to make sure that sizing of the design matches the thickness of the material to be used. Next step is to use a functionality called Make Compound Path. That will group all elements into one object, and when opening the file in Design Space we'll see the advantage of that. Then I sort them in opposite order to how I want them executed by Design Space. At last I save the file as a SVG file, and for convenience I add width to the name. I'll now open the file in Design Space for Android. Since available options will vary depending on connected to a unit or not, I'm connected to my LP4. When connected, I check that the option settings, experimental, activate the single element engraving parameter, is activated. I open the file and enter size. Now in the layer list you can see the layers showing up. SVG4 being outer cuts, SVG3 inner cuts, SVG2 engraving, and SVG is the fill layer. If you like, you can change the name of the layers. It's also possible to rearrange the order of the layers, but shifting to the Carving Layer tab, we see that we got them in order. A fill layer will always be at the top, and then the line layers will follow. By tapping on the knife icon, those layers are moved into cut. Since the LX1 moves much faster when running a layer as line, the engraving layer will stay there. When working with layers moved to cut, the LX1 will change characteristic to slower and stronger. For a fill layer, I use as low resolution as possible since resolution is extremely time-consuming. Power doesn't affect time at all, and depth below 30 to 40 has no or little impact on time. These settings are what I would use with LX1 20W when working with 3mm birch plywood. And before continuing, it might be wise to save the file. And then a few words about resizing. This file was prepared for 3mm plywood. If you want to use 4mm thick plywood, there is no need to go back to the original files. Just resize this one by dividing 70.8 with old thickness 3mm and then multiplying with new thickness 4mm. The new width to set will be 94.4mm. Or it might just be a smaller adjustment to a 3.1mm board. 73.2mm. Thank you and bye.